Hey, this is Amir. I play Aram on The Blacklist, and you are listening to The Blacklist Exposed.
We meet again, Red Reddington, for the last time. Welcome back to the award-winning The Blacklist Exposed podcast. We are back for Season 10. I am Agent Troy Heinrichs.
It's really the last time? I mean, he's got like 21 more of these. I'm just saying. And I'm Agent Aaron Peterson, and Nick Nolte's going to be so jealous of Red's fake beard.
I don't know if that was his fake beard. He usually grows his beard out over the break.
Well, fake, real, whatever. Nick Nolte's like, that's my beard. That's my Nick Nolte impression. How about that? You guys waited all summer for that? You are welcome. Thanks for joining us yet again on the final season of The Blacklist for The Night Owl. Written by Lucas Ryder and directed by Court Hessler. And you know who Court is? You want to tell him?
He is the man behind all of the stunts on the show.
There you go. Show notes and other intel for this episode of The Blacklist Exposed can be found at theblacklistexposed.com.
First, all, if you're new, welcome. I'm so glad that you binged 9 seasons on Netflix in the last 35, 40 days or so, because it was a fun time to go through the back history of all of the Blacklist. I know there are some of you out there that rewatched the entire thing since we saw you all last May.
And now you may sleep.
Usually have a profiling question of the week here to start the show. That's how it works. We ask you something about the last episode, but since we haven't been here since May of last year, then we need to do some new stuff. And we're just basically going to chat and tell you that summer was amazing and fall was amazing. And we're not sure how this season's going to work. We don't know yet if it's going to be all 22 episodes by May. We don't know if it's going to be 12 episodes in May and 9 episodes in the fall, or if there's going to be Blacklist in the summer. We will be learning as much as we can and let you guys know as soon as we are able.
And there are rumors that it's going to be split, right? I don't know if that hasn't been confirmed, though. Just so you know,
it has not been confirmed, but that was the latest rumors I had heard. And I think that would make sense. Like if it's the final season, so if I'm NBC and I'm thinking about what my slate of shows would look like, and I have a proven entity, I could use the final season of The Blacklist because most people would be tuning in for those last 9 episodes, I would think, because they want to know what's the answer, even though we gave you the answer in season 8. But there's people that still think they don't have the answer, so they want to get the answer. So they'll tune in for that, and they could use The Blacklist to launch another show, obviously in the fall, for one of their pilots. So I think that would make a good strategy if I'm in the TV business to say, yeah, let's hold 9 episodes for the last push for the fall promos and stuff.
You keep saying 9, isn't it 10? It's 22 episodes, right?
Well, you
so
would
it'd be 12
based
and 10.
on weeks and stuff. It would probably end up being like 13 now and 9 in the fall, because it's usually a 9 before the November break, right, for Thanksgiving, based on how the calendar works.
Sure. My guess would be like where you would normally have that, where they used to have that mid-season finale or whatever. That would be
right around 11 or so, 10 or 11.
Yeah.
So
whatever the number is, but yeah.
Or they can just do a whole bunch of 2 hours because, why not? It's Sunday night. Nobody else is doing anything except watching.
Well, catch up. It has almost been a year. What have you been doing? You done anything cool you want to talk about?
I got a new job. I left my place of work for 21 years and ended up moving to a new business. So I'm excited. It's been a lot of fun. And I also have had some fun watching The Last of Us on HBO. That's a video game that I played regularly. I've actually played it 5 times because the story is so good.
Oh, wow.
And then we should also talk about our friend John Bokenkamp. He just announced a new venture over on Apple TV Plus, a new show he's got coming out soon. So from what we've heard, scripts are in the works, but no premiere date set as of yet.
The Last Frontier. And it's going to have Jason Clarke. And it's basically, it sounds like The Fugitive meets Con Air, which sounds awesome. In Alaska. He's the last man to hold down his small town from all the bad guys that are coming. Yeah, and we have talked to John. He's pretty excited about this. So this should be, I'm looking forward to that. I think that would be fun. I'm looking forward.
What about you?
And I did. I've been doing the Hollywood Outsider with you, of course, podcast. So there you go, thehollywoodoutsiders.com. I'm on the board of a film festival, which is going right now, the Beloit International Film Festival, beloitfilmfest.org. We've been putting that together. I'm vice president, and also I'm on the chair of the film selection committee. And I think we've got the best slate we've had at that festival in forever. And actually, we're en route to one of our best years ever. So that's great news, especially coming out of a pandemic. So
I mean, and I've only known Aaron for 10 years. And so it's so good this year that I'm actually finally going this time around.
Yeah. There's stuff right up your alley. The Doctor Who documentary that that's great. There is a pinball movie biopic, which is really nice, or biopic, depending on where you come from.
And a lot of it has centered around the reason why New York City didn't want pinball in New York City. So it'll be a little bit of history. Yeah. So it'll tie into to where Aram is vacationing now, or living, or whatever the heck Aram is doing.
Seems like a good blacklister. Somebody who tried to stop video games. I don't know.
The pinball fixer.
I don't know. We do have a question for. I'm sorry. Did you have?
Well, I was going to say Anthony Pepe could be the blacklister, since he likes his pinball stuff from the makeup department.
He really could. Yeah, he really could. All right. Question for next week. So we do have a question for next week, and you can answer in our socials or anywhere else you find us. The question is, who's behind the ministry? Who do you think is behind the ministry? That seems like it's our new big bad, right?
I would assume so. We got one mention of it. And I think that'll be the organization that either Wujing is working for or Wujing is the head of.
Should be interesting. We've got another organization. Things are getting real, kids.
More colors on the map. Is the map ever going to come back? Who knows?
It's got to, don't we? I mean, we've got at least one more in the top 10, I think. So
we got number 2. Who does number 2 work for?
That's what I was thinking too. Get in my belly.
All right. Well, now before any more of the past comes back to haunt us, let's go ahead and get into this week's case profile.
Seriously, if they don't have Mike Myers as a blacklister and he's number 2, I'm going to be very
That would be amazing.
I'd be so disappointed. All right. Well, we open with Aram in New York City. So even though he's not going to be on the show, in case you missed it, he left the show because he was in the Kite Runner, which was a very successful play that he was doing in New York. He's coming back to the show at some point, the way that I understand it. It's just kind of like a temporary leave, so to speak. He's also got some new gigs lined up, so he's ready to go, man. His career's taking off. And but he does show up here in the epilogue. Which one is that?
Prelude. Postlude.
The beginning. It is so. We had to record this one super early, so forgive me. All right. The very, 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 very beginning. It's prologue, I'm pretty sure. And Aram was in New York City riding around on his bike, and he sees a scraggly Red walking out and about. And it's been about 6 months in this time frame, apparently. We find out that Red apparently went back to Guatemala, the last we saw of him. But right now, he's in this location. He sees Aram, but makes no notice to talk to him or say anything to him or anything else. And then right after he leaves, a bomb detonates on a floor that happens to be a Chinese consulate. What do you think about this opening?
Cold open, I think, was good. I think it was fun to see Aram.
Why didn't I just say cold open? Why do I have to go through words back in, it's so early?
Well, don't feel bad. It took me the entire time you were blabbing on about all that stuff in order for me to come up with the term myself. But it was fun to see Aram. It was unexpected because we knew that Amir Arison was leaving the show. And then we should also mention that Park is also not in the show anymore. She took her leave of absence as well. So there's going to be some new players in the show this year. But it's nice to see old familiar faces, even though they are cleanly shaven. And the fact that the bike made the appearance, I thought that was a nice touch. But in the end of the day, it's like Red was not wearing a suit. And Red had like a brown hat instead of a black hat. So then you're like, is that really James Spader? And you're like, oh yeah, that is James Spader. So, But then to find out that he might have been responsible for the bomb or somebody else was responsible for the bomb, we're not quite sure who is responsible, other than it was tied back into a former blacklister, because they're just popping up all over the place. And I think that's going to be interesting this season.
Yeah, I'm wondering if the Ministry are the people after, like the former Blacklisters, like put together this clique based on that. I don't know.
Or the Ministry is the group of former Blacklisters.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't know. That seems like it would work. And yeah, I mean, for a minute there, because he acknowledged Aram, or at least he looked his way, and then he got in the car or whatever and got away. I was wondering, is this like a doppelganger? Is this one of those masks from Mission Impossible? What are we doing? And no, turns out it was Red.
Or is it one of those doctors that did more facial plastic surgery stuff on people? We're going to find them later on in the season. But
could be.
Because remember, know, he said he looked a little bit different to Cooper.
It was good seeing Red back. But then we make a little bit of a choice because we don't see Red again until like the halfway mark. We'll come back to that, but it was the halfway mark. Well, in the meantime, Dembe wrestles up Wrestler, and they head to New York. Chinese consulate doesn't want the FBI involved. They don't want them heading into their annex. Probably a hot air balloon workshop in there, I guess. They were concerned about. Also, there's too soon. I don't know. Also, there's a body. So now this is officially a homicide investigation.
Yeah, Jennifer Moore is the body. She was one of the members of the Freiburg Confidence back. I think that was number 140 on the Blacklist, season 8, episode 3. I believe that was.
You believe that was, or did you look it up?
I'm going off of memory, but I think that's where I remembered seeing it when I was researching it last night. You're
pretty astute with your memory, so it's probably true. Wujing is still trying to prove Red's truth, and Red will stop at nothing to stop him. This is the basics, and then we'll get to some character stuff. Jennifer Moores, like you talked about, was once on the blacklist, who Liz hired and cooperated with the FBI, but apparently went south behind the scenes. That's the way that you took it, right?
Yes, it's exactly the way I took it. They're trying to find a flash drive, right, for Red. I think was the original plan.
Dembe reaches out to Chuck, who is supposed to be Red's security, but Chuck's just driving around. Apparently, he's doing an Uber. That's the way I got it. He's just driving around. Red hasn't called him.
That's what he did until he got called up to, go ahead and blow people up. I think it was a different actor, though. It didn't look like the original Chuck that I remember.
I don't know for sure on that one. I guess we probably could have looked that one up, but I'm not sure 100%. Feels different, but, I hope Chuck gets more involved. I like Chuck. Yeah,
because he was always putting on costumes and being fake police and being a fake delivery person and then pulled out a gun and shot people. So to see him in this situation, it's like this is the most lines I think Chuck's had in 10 seasons.
Well, the FBI can't find good IT help since Aram quit. Apparently, there's just Aram. That's the IT department at the old FBI.
Well, because the other guy is still working for Gray Matters over on Redemption, even though it didn't.
Sure. There you go. So there's two. There's literally two. So now they're going to use an old Red tool, a 19-year-old kid whose mom is his agent, Tadashi, and his mom, Mariko Ito, which everybody likes Tadashi. So it's cool to see him back.
Yeah, Tadashi's fun. And it was interesting watching that scene, too, between Dembe and Tadashi, where Tadashi's like trying to break down the thing. And he's like, well, we got the stand down order. And Dembe's literally saying, like, it doesn't work that way anymore. So it was interesting to see Dembe actually play by the law versus just have him do the thing that he used to do when he was on Red's side.
Exactly. Jennifer Moores, again, of the Freiburg Confidence, was casing Lux, a tax haven for the wealthy. It's worth billions, and Moores was focused on a sculpture known as the Night Owl. It seemed like she was going to break it out. She was going to figure out how to break that out and steal it, whatever it is. Well, it is a person. It's a person.
Oh my gosh, it's a code name. Who knew?
Well, it's code name. Who knew? Shocker. While they're investigating this, they run into Syia Malik from MI6, who happens to be the daughter of Agent Malik from season 1, who Cooper said he last saw when she was 15. And I'm not sure that math checks out, kids. I'm not sure that math checks. But we'll roll with it. Whatever. I know that for a fact the actress herself was younger than me, and when she was on the show was 10 years ago. And I mean, well, I guess, you've got a couple delays here and there, but I still don't. 15 feels like a stretch, because I remember they talked about she had kids and they were younger than that. So I don't know. We'll talk more about that, because I think a listener had a direct question about that time frame, so we'll just wait until we get to that question. But just think, I'm not sure that math checks out, guys. I'm not sure. I want to check the receipts. All right, but no matter. The freelancer is here. Another Blacklister. Can you want to explain, because you're the memory guy?
Oh my gosh,
the freelancer.
Freelancer was the second episode of the show. Campo was the actual bad person in that episode. So they put the freelancer behind bars, and then they go ahead and Liz finds the freelancer in season 8, breaks him out so he can crash a plane in order to, because that's his motive, right? His motive is make big things happen to kill one person that's involved in that thing, right? So blow up a building to kill one person, or crash a plane to kill one person. So he ends up having something come up for like directly his MO here, and then Wujing is the one that's actually trying to find him and break him out, because Wujing and the freelancer, the second and third episodes ever of the series, are the ones that are going to go ahead and bring Red down for all the things that he's done to put people behind bars.
And I remember the freelancer most from, we had a big discussion at the time when that episode happened about, would Liz really go so far as to chance a plane crashing just to distract the FBI? And I still firmly say, no, she wouldn't. But she did, so it is what it is. But the concept was, she hired him to cause this plane crash, but also made sure that the FBI was fully able to stop it so it didn't actually happen. So she kind of set him up in that way. And
it was actually a distraction, because there was supposed to be somebody that was going to be on the plane.
Right.
She ends up kidnapping her at the airport before she ever gets on the plane. So the plane crash really wasn't really needed, because, you know, she had other plans.
Yeah, and she had time to, like, well, I don't know. Well, that's a whole nother discussion. Go find that episode. You can hear it all over again. All right. So obviously, Red wants him too. Red wants him too, but Wujing gets him. Basically, Wujing is here to start the dominoes falling. All right. So the Ministry, it seems to be our big bad. We agreed on that, yes?
Yes.
Okay. What did you think about the overall story here for the opening episode, the season premiere of the Blacklist, season 10? Final season. This is it. No more. We're done. It's all for the goods here.
Yeah. I felt like it was a little bit of a lackluster premiere since we've been gone for so long. Figured there would be a lot more in the cold open. It felt like we said, like season 9 definitely felt like a different show. This feels again like a little bit of a shift in the way it's being presented from what fans are used to before. It's not bad television. I mean, it's pretty, by the numbers, CSI, NCIS type of formula. We get some of the things that are interesting to us. We see Wrestler with the addiction story. We see Cooper playing cards with Agnes. I mean, so all the pieces are here, but it's definitely more of a slower premiere to set up like, hey, here's the reminder of who all the players are. Here's where the pieces are going to fall. I think it was interesting the way Malik's character was introduced. I would have thought that she just would have showed up at the FBI as being, part of the group, when they're like having their morning meeting and they're debriefing the case. And then Malik would have walked in. So the introduction of Malik being from MI6 and working with the CIA at this Blacklist site, I thought that was interesting. Overall, though, it was just kind of like, Blacklist is back. It wasn't like, oh my gosh, did you see the opening kind of feeling.
Yeah, I didn't feel we had quite the momentum that I would expect from a premiere. It wasn't like an awful episode or anything. It was kind of, here's what I think. I think there's two things. One, it's kind of a jarring reaction to not have Aram in the episode, except for like his opening minute or so. Aram, I've always said this and I continue to say it, he and Liz were like the heart of the show. I really believe that. So him not going to be there for a while, I think is going to probably at least affect the first episode or two, because you're kind of readjusting. And Syia hasn't really found her footing in the overall task force yet. We'll see how that goes. I mean, Dembe, great. Wrestler, great. Cooper, great. It's just a matter of, it's a change, and people have to adjust to change. It takes a while. Second thing, I think it was probably a mistake to have Red out of the episode for so long. He really has, 4 scenes?
If that, yeah.
And not coming in till the midway point, really, with anything, is a long way to go for fans that love Red. Now, don't get me wrong. I get it. You want to build up anticipation and everything else. On the same token, do you really need anticipation for a show that's in its 10th season? No, you want to see the fan favorite character. The two fan favorite characters are typically Red and Aram. So we did get to see Aram at the top, but Red, really wasn't around. So I think it takes a while to get into it. And once Red got there, it definitely improved.
Yeah,
it definitely improved. And it just felt very standard network TV until Red got there.
Yeah, he didn't show up until he comes to the post office, right? That was the first time we see him.
Sure. Yeah.
In the sense of,
No, he did have that walkthrough with the lady.
Oh,
he did have
with
that
with the real estate thing. That was right. The cruise ship.
Yeah, exactly. That was right at the middle. So
he was not wrong. I mean, the round mirrors on the walls. I mean, it definitely looked like a cruise ship.
It did look like a cruise ship. Yeah, he's not wrong. So that's what I would say. I mean, like I said, wasn't bad. I just, for a season premiere, typically in the Blacklist history, it's something that really gets things going, gets the gears moving. But also we have to adjust to another team change. We've had several of those over the years. Park was a little jarring. And don't get me wrong, I don't need a long explanation as to why she left. So I'm glad they kind of just moved past it. But on the same token, it is a change you got to get used to.
Well, and she gave her explanation really at the finale last season, that she wanted time, spend with her husband, work on her condition, that she had from the explosion last season. So, it's going to be different initially, but hopefully we get some fast-pacedness by the third episode or so, and it just doesn't flatline for most of the final run.
No, I don't think it will. Are you looking forward to going back to the well of Blacklisters?
When the concept came up at the end of last season, I was actually really interested. I thought that's what was going to be the case for season 9, because you needed a way, like, if you are like us and we all believe that we had the answer at the end of season 8, like, now that this news is out there, because Townsend knew who Red was, like, you could say, oh, now that we know who Red is, people would be coming after him. So this concept makes a lot of sense, and I think it's going to be interesting. I'm curious to find out which Blacklisters are coming back, and are they going to be, Wujing conclusion, freelancer conclusion, or is it going to be like new Blacklisters and the old Blacklisters are in the episode, but it's not really the Blacklister for the episode? I think that'll be an interesting take.
All right, well, let's get into some characters.
Let's do it. Music this week, nothing of note. Just a lot of good Dave Porter background, as always. But if you are interested in all of the songs that we've collected over the years, up through season 9, you can get those over on the playlist, both for Apple and Spotify, over on the website at theblacklistexposed.com.
I'm really missing songs on the show, man.
I know. It takes away.
Started with last year.
You got to have something that just fits in that last sequence or something, at least for the end credits. When they're having that conversation with Malik in the office, there could just be something there about like lost daughters or something that would also tie it into the fact that Liz was a daughter, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's the glue. There's no glue right now without the music.
The glue. Yeah, I really do miss the music. I don't know. It could be a budget thing because they're in their final season. I don't know. Ratings are not what they used to be and stuff. I don't know how that works, but I do miss the songs. I do.
For sure.
I've discovered a lot of great ones to this show. So characters, now we're going to just hit on any big character points. Dembe's still in the task force. Really nothing much has changed there. He still has his connections with Red's former associates, and it looks like he's really, really concerned about Red. So you feel like Dembe's going to make any shifts this season? Think he's going to go back to work for Red or anything like that?
I don't know. I liked him, we mentioned with Tadashi, where he was on the side of the law versus on the side of Red and playing it by the book.
I like that a lot.
I like that a lot, that he's like grown into the, very quick ascension to the role of special agent. But at the same time, it's interesting to see him just after the falling out him and Red had, that he would be so concerned. Like, you took the train? You don't have security? Like, where is everybody? It's nice to see that he still cares about Red, and the friendship that they've built over the years is still present. So it'll be interesting to see how they work together as the season goes along.
Yeah. Always good to have Dembe here. Always good to have Dembe. Gonna miss him and Aram getting to play off each other,
That was a fun dynamic last season, I would agree.
It was, yeah. Cooper playing with Agnes, and apparently goes by Pops. So make sure if you ever see Harry Lennox out in the wild, call him Pops, please do that for us. I'm sure he'll love it. But trust me, Agnes is going to be in the FBI before this season is over. That's my bet. I feel like it's a lot easier to get in than it used to be.
Well, we are going back to the well, so maybe Agnes ends up being on a milk carton before the end of the season too.
Oh, don't say that. I don't want to. She got kidnapped episode again. But Cooper otherwise doesn't get a lot to do here. I mean, he's really running interference and kind of assessing that why is Red in town and not talking to us, because he's supposed to be keeping them informed, because the task force is still going even 6 months later. Now, I guess I want to ask you this before we move on. Does that make sense? I guess it's been 6 months. He hasn't really been in contact. People don't know, but the task force is there, but they look like they're dismantling. So I'm confused. Where are we at with the task force?
Well, I don't think they were dismantling. They were going through the Marvin Gerad case files, and there was just a lot of them. So that's what the boxes in the war room looking.
I guess that's right. Yeah.
Like all disheveled, I guess would be the best word to use. But it's funny when Cooper's like, I was just getting used to things being quiet. Like, you're not even like at the office. You're just sitting at home. So is there really anything for the task force to do except scan files? Can't you just contract that out and just shut the place down?
It feels like the normal use of government funds in the world. Honestly, if I'm thinking about it, this feels like what I expect from most government agencies. Like there's not really much work to do and they're just kind of hanging out. Kidding. I kid. Mostly. We're not chasing hot air balloons. All right. Well, we'll see what happens with the task force, but apparently it is still in force. Moving on to Wrestler. Once again, we come back to his addiction. He's in an addiction support group, admits to being an addict and losing someone he loved. He's 311 days sober. I know that this is a serious event for many people. Also kind of tired of the plot line.
Also, just really funny that someone was a 311 fan that wrote this line into the script.
What's 311 mean?
Like the band 311. Like what do you pick? What do you pick?
You think that's a reference?
Well, why do you pick 311 instead of like 674 or 223? It's just kind of funny that it was 311. I chuckled at that one.
I didn't know it was a band. New things every day. Are you okay with this continued storyline? Well, I guess he's an addict and it's going to be an ongoing thing forever.
Well, yeah.
I get that.
It's a way to just reintroduce the character and a way for people to remember what he's all about, what's going on, and that he's like better now than he was last season. So, we know that the Boy Scout is back.
Wujing has a Liz Keane flashback. So here we are, season 10 premiere, and Megan Boone is still on the show. I just love that. I just love it. I hope she gets residuals.
And the sad part is that that was I almost thought this was actually filmed like it wasn't the flashback, like it was actually filmed with real characters again, because I forgot how bad the wig was in season 1.
Oh, poor Megan's wig. Yeah.
And I was like, wait, is that actually? No, wait, that's the replay from the tape.
Yeah, but here we go. We got Liz Keane again. Poor Liz Keane. That poor character's dead, but never gets to die. All right, let's talk about Syia, which I love the name because at some point it's going to come into play where she's just going to say, Syia. It's just going to be a line, right? It has to be, I feel like. So Syia is shot doing the right thing while she's trying to save her prisoner, but of course she's got a vest and everything else. And remember, she's the daughter of Agent Malik. Someone needs to remind her to keep her ass alive. She wants to find the truth, the secrets that got her mother killed, and she thinks she can get loaned to the task force until the case is done. Now that, to me, seems like a bad plan because the whole time she's making this pitch to Cooper at the end where she's selling her involvement in the task force, all I'm thinking is, Syia wants revenge.
Oh, yeah. Like, you don't come into the place going like, hey, it'd be great to work with you. And then be like, I don't know about it, but no, it'd be really great to work with you. Well, I want to be here. She's pushing way too hard to get herself on the task force to not have an ulterior motive.
So what do you think of the character? What do you think of this introduction? Do you like this twist of bringing in more family relations, etc.? I mean, it's kind of the show. I mean,
yeah, it ties in with the family concept. It brings us back to a character that we saw in season 1. Now we're in the final season. So that loop kind of closes. It's kind of interesting. I just hope that it's not, the mole, because Meera Malik was the mole in season 1. So we don't have to go back to that well, because it's like we don't want to retread. We want to close up shop. It's the final 22 episodes. So I like the actress so far. I thought she held her own with Harry Lennox in the scene, when they're in the office. I think she'll be a good addition. Just be interesting to see how they use her as we go forward.
Yeah, Anya Banerjee. I hope I said that correctly, but yeah, I like her. I like Syia a lot. I think it's a character that I can grow to love. I'm kind of curious what's going to happen once she learns the secrets because, Mom was no Girl Scout. So how are you gonna handle that? And once you find out who Red is and what Red means, how's that character going to move forward? How's that character going to navigate in the waters? And I feel like it's going to be a interesting dynamic moving forward. Looking forward to that. Okay, Red. Again, no Red dialogue till the halfway mark. That was a choice that I don't like. But it's done. He's back in the mix and seems pretty happy, I guess. And also content. This is the first time in a long time, if ever, we've seen Red with no security. Well, actually, it is the first time forever. No security, no car, took the train, took a nap on the train, like he's not even aware of his surroundings anymore, just kind of chilling, living his best retired life, living the dream as far as I'm concerned. What's going on? Nothing and everything. That's what he says. What do you think's going on?
I don't know. So he got back from Guatemala, so I assume he took the sisters home, since we don't see the sisters.
They did.
This season.
They said that.
Yeah.
He said that. Yep.
And then, it's weird because it's not like we left last season in a place where, there wouldn't be more threats. You would assume that the threats are still out there. So why he's so blasé about it when somebody from inside his own group was the one that was targeting him and he didn't know until halfway through the season last year of what was happening, even though it was wrong because he thought it was obviously Mr. Kaplan. Turned out it was just a front and a setup. So I think this seems odd to me that Red is so comfortable and just so blasé about going on with life, especially when he still has to protect Agnes, that he wouldn't at least have one person with him as a protection, just keep watching his six. So he can take those naps that he's earned after 60 some years.
So he can take those naps. I mean, at some point, if you're Red, wouldn't you just, I don't know, give up at this point? All right, come get me. Just come get me. I don't care. Or is it really just about Agnes at this point and protecting the secret?
Protecting the secret, making sure the blacklist still operates, and then obviously it's mostly protect Agnes, I think is really what it is.
Yeah.
Like he trusts Cooper to do it, but he's not going to fully trust.
No, and I get that. And part of me thinks, why wouldn't Red already have kidnapped Agnes and put her in some kind of secure place? But then again, I mean, he tried that with Liz and didn't work. So what are you going to do at this point? What are you going to do?
I mean, we are going back to the well, so history repeats itself. So hello. Watch out, Agnes. There's stuff bad that's going to happen to you by the end of the season.
Yeah. And actually, speaking of Red, Kimberly Torma in our Facebook group did ask the question, is the property Red Reddington is trying to buy, in that one scene with the cruise ship mirrors, the site of the new Blacklist since the Latvian site was destroyed back in season 8?
It's a good call out.
Could it be that?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Or he just
we'll find out more on that.
He just wants to open up a nightclub because he's tired of the kitchens.
Yeah, I can see Red just getting it up. It's got to be a jazz club or something, right? Something very relaxed. Casual.
Someplace where he can sit behind the velvet rope and take a nap.
Absolutely. Someplace with a red room. Huh? I'm proud of that one. I am. All right. We got some listener thoughts here in a second, but first, want to take a quick second to say thank you to those of you that are supporting the show by going to Patreon. That's Patreon, patreon.com/theblacklistgsm. Special big thanks to our honorary blacklister, Patricia. Also, a special shout out to our task force members, Marilyn, Cindy, James, Jens, Joanne, Johnny, Justin, Karen, Catherine, Sharon, Lacey Ann, and Vanessa, all official task force members. Welcome back to the team. All of these people receive cool gifts from us, and you can get a cool gift as well for donating at the $20 level or higher. If you want a cool t-shirt or a coffee mug, come on, you do. It's the final season. You want it before we don't make them anymore. You have to stay at the $20 level just for a few months just to get the cool gifts.
Yep. And remember, the $5 level is going to get you early access to the podcast before anyone else. Regular listeners will have access a few days later. So if you want to be in the know, consider throwing $5 our way over at Patreon, patreon.com/theblacklistgsm. Click the fedora and hopefully you can keep the show funded for the final push. Stay tuned. We got more show coming up right after this.
You obviously love podcasts, but are you also a fan of movies and television? Do you want to listen to a show that reviews entertainment honestly and casts pretentiousness to the wind? That debates both film and TV topics in a fun, good-spirited way, while still getting to the heart of why we all love them so much? Then don't miss the award-winning weekly podcast, The Hollywood Outsider, now available on your favorite podcast app or at thehollywoodoutsider.com.
All right, we're back to Special Agent Intel. First thought from, we've got a few listener thoughts here. D.D. Elliott says about this episode, kind of a slow start, but a strong finish. Looks to be an interesting season for sure. Good to see Tadashi, but really miss Aram. Definitely looking forward to more Red. Agree on all counts.
All counts, for sure. George Nowman is back. Hey, George, I like Syia's character as there is a lot they could do. I'm just realizing that Syia, even though it's spelled S-I-Y-A, also could be like CIA from her mom. Syia? Anyway.
Or Syia. Come on. Come on. Somebody write that.
We can't say that yet. She just started on the show.
Syia.
There's a lot they could do with her. She could be a great asset on the task force, or she could end up being a villain seeking revenge for her mother's death. We still need number 2. Who does number 2 work for on the blacklist? All season
Who does
long.
number 2 work for? Angela Raven. It was okay. Setting up kind of episode. They retconned Syia, Meera's daughter. When Meera died in 122, episode 1, or season 1, episode 22, they said her kids were 8 and 5. So I was right. Now they're saying Syia was 15 at her mother's funeral. So the only thing I can say is maybe she had a kid that we didn't know about, or I can't confirm the ages. I just remember them being young.
Yeah, maybe they make the 2 kids to go together, and there was actually 13. There was actually 1 kid. I don't know.
You know, I was a young dad. It can happen.
It could happen.
It can happen. But I agree with you, Angela. I feel like the math there doesn't necessarily check out. But I already talked about that.
Right. And our good friend Monica Stolfa also. There were stupid tornadoes in my area, so I missed the last 5 minutes. My observations were nice to see Aram again. Wrestler needs a hug. Red was barely there and is not too concerned with his own safety. Is his goal more in line with protecting the task force than it is about his own self-preservation? Can we keep Tadashi and his mama on the task force? Because that would be fun. Welcome to the show, Anya Benergerie. I'm looking forward to Syia's character and what she does. I get the impression that Dembe might rejoin Red's security team. They'll come back, team, and it already looks like they are going out with a bang for this.
Well, we know Rustler will. Huh? Watch out, Syia.
You're so bad.
He's a player.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry.
She's not even there one day yet. Give her a chance to like settle in before you make a move, Wrestler. Come on.
Wrestler's going to start bringing out the scotch. So let's have a talk.
This is the office. I bring all my partners to.
I see Wrestler making a move, and then Aram comes back and he's like, "Oh, I love her." So you never know.
Partner takes on a whole new meaning when it comes to Wrestler.
It does, absolutely. It should be a good season. We'll see. I'm curious how they're going to ramp it up for this final run. But are you excited?
Yeah.
I don't want to use the term excited. I mean, I do personally believe all shows have a natural end that they need to come to. And I'm always a fan of when you're given the time to do your ending. So they have a whole season to write this to an ending, and I'm hoping they crush it.
And some shows get a chance to do their ending and add 2 additional bonus seasons.
It's true. That is true. That is true too. That's funny. All right. Well, that's going to conclude this discussion. We got a lot more to talk about coming up with the Blacklist. That will conclude this discussion, though. So now is the time to recommend the Blacklist to your friend, your enemy, or your neighbor. And when you do, please also recommend they listen and subscribe to the wonderful Blacklist Exposed podcast. All the case profiles can be found at theblacklisteexposed.com and everywhere great podcasts can be heard.
For more great Aaron and Troy hijinks of our own, follow us on your favorite social media outlet. If Twitter still exists, I'm at Troy Heinrichs and he's at Aaron Smirks. And together we are at the Blacklist GSM. Talk about the show, the podcast, or what you expect to see out of season 10 as we go into the final episodes for Red and the Gang. It's going to be a blast.
All right. Well, big thanks for listening, everybody. Don't forget to answer our profiling question. Are you glad Tom's still dead? Sorry. I had to get one in.
It wasn't in the script.
It's the final season.
That was good. Like, well played.
All right. The question is, who's behind the ministry? Who's behind the ministry? That's it.
All right, guys. We'll see you next week. Take care. Until next time, I'm Agent Troy Heinrichs. That's at Troy Heinrichs on Twitter. And if you want to learn more about me, just visit, about.me/Troy Heinrichs.
And I'm Agent Aaron Peterson. You can hear me talking about movies and TV on the Hollywood Outsider podcast, as well as Remake This Movie Right. We are available at thehollywoodoutsiders.com or on Twitter at 5popcorn. Be sure to subscribe, download the app, submit your feedback, but most importantly, keep yourself off of
the Blacklist.
The Blacklist Exposed is a Golden Spiral Media production. Find more of our great podcasts at goldenspiralmedia.com/podcasts.